Okay, everybody, welcome back to Beekeeper Tarot. My name is Alan. Here we are in my car again. I'm going to attempt to drive home, but you know what? Let's take a detour. Let's go down this way. Let's head down here and see what there is down here. Turn left at any time with care. That's alright. I grew up near here, so in the good old Sutherland Shire in South Sydney. Warranura, 3 Keys, 5. Okay, cool. Alright. I can probably work this one out. So, yeah, once again, thank you for watching my videos and for the subscribers and for your kind comments. I did a big blurb this afternoon on transgender people and the shootings and gun laws in Australia and blah blah blah, so I won't revisit that because I've already said all of that. So anyway, but what I wanted to talk to you about now is my bees. So I went to a beekeeper place at Mount Druitt, which is in Western Sydney. I went there a couple of days ago, and I got some beehive bases for my beehives. I'll start with one beehive, and I got some new frames, and I've got a friend of mine that has said he will split the hive, one of his beehives. So what that means is he's going to give me some bees, and my bees are going to make a new Queen Lena. That's what they do. Bees are good at making queens. Woohoo! I love bees. They will. They'll go, hey. So what we will do, hopefully, if my friend can still give me some bees, which I think he will. So he's gonna give me some bees, and we'll put them in a box, and then I will put them into my new hive, and then what the bees will do, they'll go, hey, we ain't got no queen, we better make us a queen. And so what the bees will do then is they will build a separate what would you call it, like a cone, I guess, at the bottom of one of the frames, or they'll build a few of them. And then they'll get a larvae that's already existing, or they'll lay a larvae into the large cone, or whatever you want to call it. And then what happens is that they'll feed it what's called royal jelly. So it's like it's a different brew to what they feed the other regular bees with. And then what will happen is that bee will grow into a queen. So there'll be a new Queen Lena, and not too soon, I must say. And then the queen will go up, and if you remember my bee porn video, she'll do a thing, and then I get some new queens. I get some new bees, because she'll start laying eggs again. That's kind of how it works, if that makes any sense. That's the nuts and bolts of it. And so, yeah, I'll have some new bees, and I'm very much looking forward to them, because I have missed not having my bees. I've really missed them not being around, and then I can start doing bee videos again, which I've really missed not showing you guys the bee videos. And then we can talk about bees and get some balance in all this insanity, and have a bit of a break from all the crap going on, which would be good. Now, where am I going to go here? I might do this. Woo! Might change lanes. Just got to work out how I'm going to get home from here, which means I need to go back the way I came. That's okay. Wait for these lights to turn green. Waiting. All right. So the reason that I've got some new frames and I've sort of got a new base is I'm just experimenting with the base. It's a different kind of base that for my beehive that I haven't quite used before, and yeah, so I'll show you all of that when I get myself organised. We're just going to do a nice big U-turn here in the roundabout. There's this lovely big cemetery in here as well called Woronora Cemetery. My father is in there somewhere. Is this a police car? What's that? Nope, it's not. It's an angler's car, whatever that is. Yeah, so the bees will make a new queen, and off they go. And so when you put bees into a beehive, like it's a very when you see me do it, it's a bit rough and ready, but literally what you do is you get the bees and you shake them out of the box and you just throw them into the hive. It's quite undignified. There's nothing gentle about it. You just shake them and they'll go in. And the idea is that you do it at night time because bees don't forage during the day. Bees sleep at night time. They're a bit like people that don't do night shift. So they'll have a snooze at night time, which means that they want to go home. And then what I've got to do is I've got to start feeding them. So because they won't have any honey, because they'll be starting on brand new frames, clean brand new frames without any varroa or any mite or anything like that on them. So when you feed your bees, right? So you do depending on what you want them to do, depends on the mixture that you make. That's another story for another time. But so say for example, with my bees, so I want them to grow and be happy and have more bees and be happy. So I'm gonna give them a 1-to-1 ratio of water and castor sugar. So that's what you do. So you'll see me making that up, and then that goes into a bee feeder in the front of the hive. So the bees won't have to stress about having food straight away, because I'll be giving them food, and I'll probably need to feed them for about maybe about 4 to 6 weeks. And basically what happens is they'll start eating my food, eating the sugar solution. So I'll just top that up whenever I need to, and from memory they're just going to start munching into that. They'll start hoeing into that. It's like I'm giving them takeaway food. And then once they start making their own honey, they're just going to go, "Ha, Alan, your food is shit, mate. Your food is crap. What's this? What is this? 1-to-1 ratio of sugar and water. What's that rubbish? We've got the good oil. We've got honey." And that's good. So I'll generally know by the time they stop going through when they stop munching into the sugar solution, that's a tip off for me to know that they've got real food. So I'm just going to be giving them takeaway, and they're going to be like, "Oh, bloody hell, Alan, he's got that bloody sugar water solution again, for frig's sake." Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to having them back, and so I'll run you through all of that. And I can start talking about varroa and diseases of bees, because the bees, like I've said before, they are pardon me, they are really doing it tough, you know. They're really doing it tough. And yeah. And so with varroa, so I think I've explained this before, but varroa is it's a mite, and it lives on the nurse bees. So the nurse bees are the bees that look after the babies. So say if you average worker bee, so they're all the girls, right? Say they live to be, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or something like that. During their life cycle, they do different things. And so sometimes they're guard bees, and sometimes they're foragers, sometimes they feed the queen. So they just do all different kinds of stuff. And the last job that they do, which way am I going to go? I'm going to go this way. Yes, because I think they're doing work on Heathcote Road, so I'm going to turn this way. Okay, I had to think about that. Yeah, so they'll do all that sort of stuff. And just waiting for these lights. And yeah, what I was going to say is the last job that bees tend to do is their foragers. So foragers, they're the ones that are out, you know, getting the nectar and stuff. So the idea is when they die outside of the hive. So what that means is that the hive doesn't have to get rid of them, because they kind of die outside. So it's less labor intensive for the hive. Like, these bees have really got their shit together. You know, they really, really, really know what they're doing. They're pretty amazing, the old bees. And so I'm looking forward to having them back, and like I said, sharing it with you, and we can start talking more about bee questions, and you know, and I can teach you guys about beekeeping. Yeah. Because like I said, the bees are doing it tough. They're really doing it tough. And so varroa has been in Australia for about maybe 3 years. And the original policy with varroa was to eliminate it. So varroa came in, like I said, about 3 years ago, and it came in via Newcastle Port. So Newcastle is about maybe 150 kilometres north of Sydney. Probably about, I don't know, maybe 2-hour drive, I guess. I'm not sure what that is in miles, maybe 90 miles, but I'm not too sure what. I can never remember how to convert miles into kilometres, so I do apologise for that. But anyway, so the varroa mite came through Newcastle Port about 3 years ago. And the policy was, with the New South Wales Department of Agriculture, was that if you had varroa, then what that meant was your hive would have to be euthanized, and every hive within a 10k radius would also have to be euthanized. So in the Newcastle region, a lot of people lost their hives, and the vast majority of these people, from what I've read, didn't go back to beekeeping because it was just so traumatic for them, and now it means that we have to, and so I'll get to that in a minute, but a lot of these people, they didn't go back to it because it really is heartbreaking when you have a hive that collapses, or you've got, especially because I can think of nothing worse than having to destroy my bees. That would absolutely just destroy me. That would just really hurt. I'd actually my head would be very messy if I ever had to do that. Anyway, so that was the idea, was to eliminate it. But then what happened was, you had some entertainment only YouTube. You had some commercial beekeepers, because all the amateur beekeepers, we were basically doing the right thing, and but there was commercial beekeepers, so there were areas that were under quarantine. So if you were living in the Newcastle area and you wanted to move into, so that was a high density Varroa, you couldn't just move your hive, say, down to Sydney, because there might be a chance that you have the Varroa mite and it was undetected, or you didn't test for it or whatever. And so different areas became into different zones. So it's like I said, you just couldn't move. There are certain areas that you couldn't move out of from one area to another. And unfortunately, there was from what I understand, there were some commercial beekeepers that got wind that certain areas were going to be under quarantine, and they thought, oh no, bugger. So then what they did is they started to move their hives. Like, say, they would just, if they knew that an area was going to be quarantined, they thought, no, stuff that, we're going to move our hives to another area. So they might go into, I don't know, a few hundred kilometres into New South Wales, just different areas. And what that meant was Varroa spread. And so Varroa just started popping up, hundreds of kilometres from where it was documented. And so that was the time where the you can say that the horse bolted, if you know what I mean. And so then the Department of Primary Industries in New South Wales, they changed the policy from eliminate to manage. And so that changed everything that you do with beekeeping. It changed how you manage your bees, and it changed what you do, because in the old days, say for example, if how can I explain this? Say for example, in the old days, right before Varroa came along, like say if you had bees, right, and you wanted to put you had a bottom beehive box, right? So that was where the brood were, that's where the babies were. And then what you wanted to do was you wanted to put another box on that, which is called a super. That would just be for the honey. So what you did do before is you would just move some frames up from the ground level to the first level, and that would encourage the bees to get a grip, Alan. That would encourage the bees. You can tell that I'm tired. That would encourage the bees to move up into the first floor. But now that's all changed now. If you've got you can't move frames between the brood box and to the higher boxes. You literally can't do that anymore, because there's a chance that the whole bottom box, I'm certainly not explaining this very well, but the bottom box is where the brood is, so that's where the babies are, that's where the Varroa is going to be, is what I'm trying to say. And so any box that hasn't got babies in it won't have Varroa, because Varroa hangs around where the babies are growing. So, and what that means is that you can't now move frames throughout the hive. So if all your frames that are in the bottom of the hive, they have to stay there. You can't move them up. And I guess probably as we go through this process with the bees, as I show it to you, as we go forward from here, that will make more sense when I kind of explain it to you. But in essence, it's really changed the way that beekeepers manage their bees, and it's brought a lot of questions, and so now we have to treat for Varroa, which means that we have to introduce chemicals into the hive, which is not good, but at least the chemicals are in the ground floor, because the ground floor is where the babies will be, where the brood is, and so technically the honey soup is where you get the honey from. That's above the bottom frame. There'll be no Varroa there, so there's no treatment in those where the honey is. If that kind of makes any sense. But and then there's been people like me that have lost hives, which was just really just really heart-wrenching, you know. It's just not nice when you lose your hive, because the varroa has moved in. And I found out recently, when I went to this beekeeping shop at Mount Druitt the other day, they said to me that where I live, so I live in an area that has a lot of, there's a lot of Vietnamese people near where I live, and that's fine. But the way that what I was told is that the way that the information was collected and disseminated was that a lot of the it wasn't really done in like a lot of the Asian languages, so word didn't get out what to do. And so you would just have these people that were beekeepers that, you know, they've had the bee in their house they've been looking after bees for, like, I don't know, 50 years or something, and they didn't even know about any of this stuff with the regulations. It just went over. They just didn't know about it because they weren't privy to. They just weren't able to act. There was a communication breakdown, is what I'm trying to say. They didn't access the information. So then what I was tipped off is basically the area that I live in is a bit of a varroa hotspot. So, and that means that, yeah, no wonder, speed camera coming up here. I'll just stick to the speed limit, as I always do. Yeah, so that's the story with the bees. But it would be nice to have them back, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to them. And so, yeah, so I'm going to speak to my friend Gary probably tomorrow. I'll give him a call. Hey Gaz, it's Alan. Hello. And hopefully get some bees coming. So otherwise I've got to buy them, and I've got to wait till October, which I don't really want to do. I'd rather just get them going sooner than that. And I'll probably just start off with the one hive at home. Then I can split the hive. I can split the hive later on, and from my hive, and just see how it all pans out. So we'll just wait and see how all this stuff unfolds, I guess, for choice of a better word, or whatever, however you want to say it. But yeah, so I can show you how we use the smoker and the bees and all the good stuff. So yeah, so like I keep saying with this rubbish going on, it's all transitional, and it's just, it is it is exhausting. And I think it is exhausting, but it is transitional. This will pass, and we will work through this. We will overcome this mess. I have no doubts about that at all. But we've just got to go through it. But entertainment only YouTube. But I promise you, I don't know one person that thinks that what is happening in the US is normal. I think, yeah, I don't know one person that. I don't know. There's just nothing normal about it. And what my fellow Aussies say about the Yeti is something which I really I'll probably get banned from YouTube if I repeated what we say, but we do say it, and we do mean it. And it's justified. So yeah, so just having a nice drive back home. And I've taken him on this road before, but unlike previous times, it's not raining. So, I am tired. I'd be tired. Yeah, so like I said, if you have any questions about bees or anything going on, we can tackle those, and we can talk about the bees, And I'm keen to do cards soon. I might try and do a reading tomorrow if I can, but I'm starting work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it really depends on what time I get up tomorrow. If I need to sleep, I'm just going to sleep. So, yeah. Such a nice road, this one. And there's a river actually to the left-hand side called the Georges River, and so down here does flood sometimes when you get the really heavy rains. It does flood down here, so this road will be closed off at times. And I'm looking forward to the next full moon. Looks like there's like a half moon. You probably don't know if you can see it through the camera, but it's smiling at me. The moon is smiling at me. Hello, moon. So yeah, I'm just rambling now. Just gibber. So I think it is really good that in the US there is some resistance forming, and even the mayor of Chicago basically said, you know, hey Yeti, you and your ilk aren't welcome here. And I don't know, it's almost like he's got delusions of grandeur. It's like he just I mean, I'm not a qualified doctor, it's just my opinion and entertainment only YouTube. I've got to keep saying that because it's just what I think. I don't know, but it's just what I think. But he just it's almost like he fantasizes over these dictators, and there's nothing likable about them to fantasize about. I mean, you look at Kim Jong-un and Putin and these absolute tyrants, you know. And all this rubbish about, what was it? He wants to go to heaven if he can end the war in Ukraine or whatever bullcrap that was. I mean, what is wrong with this man? How about you start being nice to people? You know? But I really do believe that, you know, the universe will sort him out, because I think, unfortunately, the US justice system, depending how long he lives for, the US justice system has failed miserably in managing his felonies, I guess, because he's a felon. I can say that he's a felon. But I'm baffled that he's just gotten away with so much stuff. It floors me. And it's like, what was it? They said that now that the tariffs were illegal, but he can still keep doing them for the time being unless there's a further review. Well, I didn't get the full story with that, but you know, I would think that if something is illegal, then it's like, well, you can't put them on anymore. Like, I don't understand that. I do not get that. If it's illegal, then the court should say, it's illegal. Stop it, you orange goon. Stop it. But oh no, it's okay. You can keep doing them for the time being until whatever. I mean, it's beyond pathetic. So, yeah, it's just beyond. The whole thing is beyond. So, but I think, you know, if you look at his ankles and, I mean, you know, they're saying that he's got these problems with his veins. Well, I mean, I used to be a nurse, right? It's a thing called the cardiovascular system, Cardio means heart, Mr. Trump. Yeah? That thing in your chest that has no feeling, that just pumps the blood around in whatever level it does. Despite all you've done. So, but I honestly do believe that he will, I mean, like I said, going back to his saying that he wants to, go to heaven or whatever, I mean, it doesn't work that way. From my understanding of how the universe works, it doesn't work that way. It's almost like he's got this audacity to think that he can cross over, and it's like, oh, let me make a deal with you, spirit or universe. I mean, really? I guess people have so much of their own agenda that they do for, whatever reason, and but it just baffles me. It just baffles me. But I do believe that he will have to pay for every single thing that he's done, like every single bit of pain that he's caused other people, and the whole bit of it, he will, every single piece of it, he'll have to pay for that. However the universe organises that, it's not for me to say, but he'll have to, everything that he has inflicted on other people, he will have to feel that himself, every single last piece of it. So, I don't know. He could have done so much good with his life. He was given such a privileged life, but he chose to be selfish, and he chose to hurt other people. I would never understand that mindset. It's just a very very foreign concept. So I don't know. So getting closer towards my home now. Enjoy the drive. So I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you good folks are doing okay. And just stay connected with everybody, Just don't go through this alone, and whatever you can do to become a part of the resistance, whether you are emailing your local Congress people, or if you're attending a protest, or whatever you're doing, just do it safely, and but really just do whatever you feel is safe by whatever standards you have. Like, you just do what you feel is the right thing to do by yourself, There's it's like we're all different, and everybody has something to give to the plate. Everybody has something to give to the community, and you might be thinking, well, gee, I can't do much because I'm 70 years old and I've got health issues. But you know what? I can ring people, or I can email my congressman. You're doing more than enough. We're just living in historic times. We really are. And I've said it before, but I think as a community, I think we're doing a great job. We are lifting each other up and helping each other, and we're putting in, we're doing the hard work, pulling in the hard yards, and that is just so important, but I sometimes think, when this idiot passes away, when he crosses over, the problem will still be there, because he is just what's the word? It's like he's like the outward manifestation of a much deeper problem, because the real question is like how did we get here in the first place? That is the question. How did any of us allow this to happen? That's that we've got to actually dig in and sort that out. He's just like the figurehead of it. So, but I think at least when he's gone, it will be a sigh of relief, because at least then, and I'm not wishing him any harm, YouTube. It's not that. I'm not wishing anybody any harm, but at least when he crosses over, he won't be able to hurt people anymore, and that's a good thing. And he won't be able to deceive people anymore, and that's a good thing. So it's just one day at a time, and I sometimes think that when he crosses over, I think it's almost like we're going to just pass out. You know what I mean? I think we're going to begin to realize how exhausting this has been. We're going to realize how exhausting this has been. And we just have a lot to learn, I think, as a planet. It's going to be a lot of analysis, and it's going to be a lot of working out, what happened and what went wrong, but it's necessary to actually. It's going to be necessary to go through this, and I just have a hunch. That we're not going to know the full story about the things that he's actually gotten up to until long after he's gone. I think a lot of stuff is going to come up after he is no longer amongst us, and I think we're going to be absolutely gobsmacked at the stuff that he did in his life. So that's just my thoughts, and like I said, YouTube entertainment only. It's just what I think. I don't know, it's just what I think. But anyway, guys, I'll probably be home in about 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. So I will close off here and keep driving. So thank you for having a beach up with me. Someone is wanting to go behind me here. So, yep, it's an ambulance there. Is it an ambulance? Oh, it's a police person. Okay. Well, at least he's not after me. That's good. Because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't speeding. Oh, he's after somebody. Oh, there you go. He's on a mission. Anyway. Oh, that's not the Royal Harbour Bridge, by the way. No. Anyway. This is why I tend to stick to speed limits. And I tend to drive safely. See, I said before there would be lots of police around tonight, and there you go. I jinxed myself. Alright guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for spending some time with me tonight in my rambling. So yeah. Alright folks, I'll be back soon, and when I can, we'll do some more cards. I'm itching to do some more cards. Alright guys, love you all to bits. Stay safe, stay happy, stay warm, okay? And yeah, look after each other, okay? Alright guys, talk to you soon. Okay, good night. Bye for now.